Hey there, intentional streaming fans. Welcome to a oddly pushed back Thursday edition because of course, what do we have on Wednesday, Jarvis?
Well, we had some technical difficulties, but today's not Thursday.
Wednesday, I guess. Friday?
Yeah. Today's Friday. Yeah. We should have been on Wednesday. We're 2 days behind, but silver lining, Flip, it allowed me to crawl back into my Game of Thrones hole and knock out about 6 or 7 more episodes.
Yeah, you know, once you delve into that, it's like eating a bag of Doritos. You just can't. You just can't stop at one.
Yeah. I'm one of the few people that had never seen an episode. So I've been into it about a week and have got through the first 2 seasons, and I'm working my way through the third. Great series so far.
You know, I've actually watched that series twice. It's just that good. But you know what? It's not nearly as good as the podcast we got coming up tonight.
Absolutely not. There's no comparison.
Jarvis, my co-host, and myself, Flip, we're gonna go over the NFL news and notes, which there's actually quite a bit going on the past 9 days, and then we're gonna go over the tight ends that are at the scouting combine. This is going to finish up our 4-part combine series. If you missed the rest, you can find that in the channel. And also with that, you can always get a hold of us at Twitter at INT StreamPod. You can always chuck us an email at intentionalstreaming@gmail.com. Be sure to like and subscribe and
hit that bell
for our channel so you guys will know when we go live. So let's hop into this action-packed edition, and you want to start us off with the news and notes for the week?
So the Bengals have hired Lou Anarumo. I think of Lou Ferrigno when I see that name. Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. This guy has never been a DC except on an interim basis. So Bengals making moves on the secondary and the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, more kind of question marks with their coach.
Yeah,
with their coaching staff. There.
A lot of new guys stepping into some expanded roles over there in Cincinnati. So we'll see how that translates.
Yeah, a lot of teams just aren't going after some of the retread coaches. They're going after some of the basically unknown guys.
They're gambling.
Yes. Bears release kicker Cody. I'm going to lose this playoff game, Parkey.
Yeah, he gambled and lost, didn't
he? Yes. You know, they're going to eat a whole bunch of cap space with that.
He wouldn't have been welcome back there, really, with a very positive reception, do you think?
No. You know, he had a tough year to begin with, and to miss a big kick like that, it's just was definitely the nail in his coffin. Talking about other kickers, the good variety.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Elliott signs a 1-year deal with the Eagles.
Good for him. I think that's a good fit there in Philly. He's done well for him. He's a young guy, so he does well again. It's another prove-it year. He'll get extended next year as well, I would think.
Yeah, it seems like
once you find a reliable kicker, you kind of want to stick with him, right?
You do. Bengals supposedly shopping wide receiver John Ross.
Yeah,
it
doesn't. I don't know. Like, I've never been a big John Ross guy. I just thought he was a flash in the pan, like a one-talent wonder. Yeah, he broke the combine, 40 time with what, a 4.22 or something like that.
4.22 is correct.
Yeah, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, and then he went in the first round, like the mid-first round, and I was like, but what else can he do?
Well, but there's a caveat to this. Bengals director of player personnel, Duke Tobin, labeled the John Ross trade rumors as fake news.
Fake news.
So, this time in the year during the combine, you're going to hear stories left and right, rumors.
And especially ones that contradict one another.
Yes.
A great example, like you heard, what was it? Are we going to talk about that here in a second? Well, Rumi Mara, or not Rumi Mara, the John Mara.
I don't think we actually had him on here.
Yeah, John Mara.
Oh, we actually do.
Yeah, John Mara. He came out and he said, like, hey, we didn't draft Odell Beckham to trade him. Mm-hmm. You know, and then the very next day, they're saying that they're not reeling out a Beckham trade. So I think you're going to get a lot of this from time to time, especially right now.
Yeah, you know, agents trying to get their disgruntled players out, or, you know, maybe even a GM trying to just float some interest.
Yeah. Yep, we'll see. You know, it's like I said, it's pretty typical this time of year. Mm-hmm. A lot of talk. But on to some more action. Ravens released wide receiver Michael Crabtree after just one season there.
Whew, he was brutal. He was not good.
Didn't pan out. Oh, nothing. I'll skip it. I was going to make a really stupid gold chain joke. Eagles not tagging quarterback Nick Foles. He will be allowed to become a free agent and leave Philly. He's free.
Yeah, where's he going?
I think Jacksonville.
And I'm kind of leaning towards Miami.
I think that. See, I'm thinking Foles, Foles to Jacksonville. I think Tyrod Taylor may end up in Miami.
Now, see, I was reading today that Tyrod Taylor's might be heading to Philly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody's really going to give him a legit shot at being a starting quarterback after flopping, last year.
But was it a flop? I mean, he got hurt.
Oh, he wasn't good. Trust me. I traded for him in the offseason in the league. Yeah.
I know you did. You got him for me.
I got him a whopping, 2.5 games for a second rounder?
He's led the Bills to a playoff run, and he's not that bad. He's an accurate passer. He can scramble and
he just looked lost at the beginning of last year. He really did.
He did. And I don't know if that was just the pressure or of just the expectations coming down, or the pressure of knowing that their future is right behind them, breathing down his neck. So if he makes one mistake, it's like, that'd be tough to perform in an environment like that. He needs to go somewhere where he's the solidified number one. There's no quarterback controversy.
I don't think that's going to happen anywhere, though.
I'm with you, though. I don't know if he's going to go somewhere and get a starting job. But
this is definitely something we're going to get way, way into next week. That's for sure. Especially when we throw in, Teddy Bridgewater, we throw in Washington, we throw in, the craziness that could be Arizona.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, that's going to be huge. Next week on our show, we're going to go over. We're going to definitely hit the free agents that are coming out and give some of our projections. Last Wednesday, speaking at the Combine, Giants GM Gettleman refused to commit to Eli Manning as the team's starting quarterback. Is he really? But do you see Eli being the Giants quarterback week 1?
I do.
I do too.
I do.
Do you see him being the starting quarterback week 8?
It depends if they go after someone in free agency or in the draft. I would say the chances are significantly go down week by week.
Agreed. But
I think he does come out and he starts week 1 as their starting quarterback.
Now, if they purge Odell Beckham, I think that could lead to a change a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens over there in New York. Another place we can focus our attention, what turns out, is Oakland Raiders. They're going to be playing there this year after that announcement came out. Okay, we're going to go play our home games in San Francisco. Nope.
I guess Lincoln's out in the cold again on a pro team.
Yeah, I'd like to see a team come to Omaha. I think that would work. But I don't know. Packers coach Matt LaFleur said a committee approach is the most effective when it comes to Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. Ouch. Does that have you worried as a fantasy owner of either one of those two?
Well, I don't think there's as much of a need to really – well, you shouldn't probably have Williams on your team right now.
Right.
Even though it did look good in Jones' absence, late last year. Aaron Jones looked really good at times last year. How much of a committee approach is it going to be? Is it going to be 80-20, 70-30? Is it going to be closer to 50-50? I'd say it's going to be closer to 70-30. If that.
I think that like maybe the Todd Gurley situation is a lot of teams spooked anymore. I mean, you got your bell cow running back, and you put a lot of tread on the, you run a lot of tread off those tires, like the workload and everything like that. They're going to want to try to balance that out and give him some breathers and stuff like that. So the days of having just one true workhorse running back, I think it's becoming few and far between.
Well, I'm going to say it's few and far between for one main reason. Talent. Mm-hmm. There just is not the talent coming out of college to be a true Zeke or Gurley or Bell or
Saquon.
Saquon or Shady McCoy. There just isn't the talent, and that's just because of a lot of you don't see the pro style offenses in college.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we could definitely go over a whole show. Later in the off season over is why there isn't more bell cows out there. Do coaches really not like them, or really is there just not the talent?
Well, in a game where you're going to have people that are a little bit more, say, quote unquote, injury prone than others, but in the NFL, everybody is injury prone.
Yeah,
So you gotta kind of protect that investment, so to speak. And I'm wondering if maybe that's a big contributing factor.
And that's a very valid point. What position really goes through in the NFL without getting hurt on a big basis?
We even saw kickers getting hurt this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
no one's exempt.
No. I mean, you even look at the tight ends like we're talking tonight. All the tight ends, all the top tier tight ends have been hurt at one point or another. Kelsey missed a game. It was either this past year or the year before. Maybe it's the year before with a concussion. Ertz, he's been hurt. Gronk. We went on Gronk's history. You even go as far back as, like Gates and his playing time or Eifert. That guy, ton of talent, can't stay healthy.
Yeah, Zach Miller. My goodness, that poor guy.
So, let's see. So, new Raiders GM, the infamous Mike Mayock, the TV personality.
Yeah.
I guess he's a GM too. Today said today Marcel Aitman is Oakland's number 1 wide receiver. Aitman didn't play a single snap before from week 1 to week 10. 15 of his 30 targets for 154 yards and a touchdown in the final month and a half. Now, if you were our buddy Stefan,
yeah,
if you were an Oakland fan, how would that make you feel?
I would feel pretty good about myself if I've ever even heard of that guy. But if you're not a diehard, specific fan of that team, then you may not even know who that is. I didn't know who it was until I read this. But with him being out weeks 1 through 10, 15 to 30 targets for 154 yards and a touchdown in the final month and a half. I mean, they're okay numbers, but I mean, it shows that he's getting looked at, and there's not a super deep talent pool there in Oakland right now.
No,
so there could be some truth to this.
Yeah.
Or it could just be to, pump up this kid's, confidence.
Well, I think most of it just shows the total lack of depth there in Oakland right now.
And they've got some good picks coming into this draft, so maybe that's something that they'll address. I would assume they will.
I think they definitely have to. Jordy Nelson really flopped last year. Can he rebound, or is he basically done?
The departure of Amari Cooper. They got Seth Roberts, who's there.
I think did they have Brandon LaFell last year? Maybe he was in Cleveland. I don't remember where he exactly was. I know he was there. Maybe that was the year before.
LaFell. He wasn't in Indy, was he?
No, you're probably thinking I don't know who you're thinking. For Cowboy fans, enjoy another suspension from defensive end Randy Gregory for violating the substance abuse policy for the fourth
And most likely final time.
fourth time.
The fourth indefinite suspension. This would probably be the last time you'll hear anybody talk about this guy.
Guy's only 26.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, wanting to get high that much that you forfeit millions of dollars to do it?
I mean, okay.
And that's hard for me to say as a big Nebraska Cornhuskers fan here in Nebraska, because he was an alum. He came from there, and we'd go out there every Saturday and we'd enjoy watching this guy play because he's such a talent. But man,
and the funny thing is, in the NFL, before you enter the substance abuse program, when you're going to get tested. You're going to get tested in April, and you're going to get tested in training camp. You don't get tested during the season until you enter the program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you have what, 1/6 of the year to remain drug free. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Don't smoke pot for like 60 days out of the year.
How hard should that be?
I don't know, but guys like him and Gordon and Martavis.
Good gravy, right?
Yep.
So moving on from that, Giants owner John Mara is skeptical that the NFL will have enough votes to make a substantive changes to replay. So I think this is all kind of stemming from the New Orleans playoff game.
Yes.
Am I not correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
What was I don't remember the big, was it a pass interference? It was like Seattle and
Green Bay
a number of years ago.
Yeah.
That was just a horrible call or non-call, whatever it was.
Yeah, in the end zone.
Yeah. And it might have been at like the very end of the game.
Yep.
I just don't remember exactly what it was. But I mean, what's it really going to take to, expand the replay? And should they even?
Well, I think they just got to train the officials to get a little bit better at when they're in those moments and they feel that they're questionable. Even if they're questionable, throw the flag, because you can always go in and review it and then overturn it. You just can't go back and be like, hey, you know what? We screwed up. Let me throw a late flag on that, after we've looked at the video. You can't do that.
No.
So err on the side of caution, throw the flag, go in and review it, and then you can overturn it if need be.
I think there just needs to be, throw the flag, do a conference with the other officials, see if one has a better angle, And like that ref, there was like a camera almost behind that ref, and you never saw the defensive player. I mean, so from his standpoint, he was just being totally shielded by the offensive players. So, so I get him not throwing the flag, but the other guys got to throw the flag on the play. So will instant replay change this year? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know what else they could do, and so I wouldn't expect big changes coming, but who knows?
So, Johnny Football,
gone.
Yeah, he's coming back to America.
The AAF, maybe? Yeah. Do we see him there? Will he get kicked out of his third league? So he got kicked out of the CFL. It was some sort of contract violation. I'm not sure exactly what it was, saying that he should be eligible to play. Do you know the ins and outs of that?
There was just a bit of speculation. He had to do certain things, like go to counseling, I'm not sure if he had to go to meetings or and this is all drug related, his drug related stuff. He also takes Ritalin, and I know there was some testing or some question about him being tested to see how much Ritalin he was taking. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. A lot of that wasn't really brought out because of Canada's medical laws that they can't really say.
Gotcha. Either way, he's gone.
Yep, he's gone. Yep. AAF, possibly.
Possibly. As long as he's not asking for $20 million like Kaepernick was.
What a joke that was. Yeah. Their budget for the league is $20 million, and he wanted the whole budget.
Yeah. Like the average, they're like getting like $250,000 or something like that for a salary, or maybe, I don't know, maybe $75,000.
I don't even know what they got.
But he was on $20 million. Get out of here.
Yeah. What a joke.
So anyway, back to relevant NFL news. Hey, Broncos picking up option for Emmanuel Sanders. I am concerned still about a wide receiver coming back from Achilles injury, especially at the age that he's in. But I like that.
But a lot of that is because of the contract that he was in. $7 million of that was injury guaranteed. So he was going to get that if he was going to get released.
Yeah.
So basically, they're keeping him for an additional $3 million
to see what they have.
Yeah. And this is a guy that's put up multiple 1,000-yard seasons.
Just a great receiver. He really is. So I'm certainly wishing for the best, even though I've got Deshaun Hamilton his backup.
Now, I won't use great wide receiver. When I think of great wide receiver, I think of, Steve Largent, Randy Moss.
Those are Hall of Famers.
Okay, that's what I consider a great wide receiver.
But without getting too far into it or ahead of ourselves, Emmanuel Sanders, he's got himself a nice long career. He's put up some big numbers, got himself a couple rings. Does he have two? Or does he just have one?
Just one. He wasn't there. No, he was not there with the Steelers. No, he was not there with the Steelers when.
Yeah. We'll have to look into that.
Because he came out in 2010, and the Steelers got their ring in 2008.
Yeah, so speaking of receivers, hey, free agent Golden Tate came out and said he would love to go to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Good fit?
Well,
I don't like it.
He's a slot guy.
He's a slot guy, and they got Edelman still, and he's producing at a high level. So, what player isn't going to want to go to the Patriots right now,
They use Edelman a lot on the outside too. I don't think it's a really good fit for them. Plus he's going to be pricey. I saw a Yahoo report, which I don't generally give Yahoo much credit, but they were talking possibly 10 to 13 million range.
Wow.
I think that's 10 million. I would think would be the ceiling. 8 to 10 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Just because it's such a bad free agency market.
Bears are looking to trade Jordan Howard potentially, fielding some offers, throwing him out there like, hey, we got a guy if you're needing some running back help. I think that he would do himself a big favor by leaving Chicago.
He's been so poorly used.
That's the whole thing.
And they're gonna realize, when they, who are they gonna pair with Cohen? I just think Cohen's just too small to be a feature back in the NFL.
He wouldn't be a feature. He's definitely a third down, change of pack.
But he was used. Howard was hardly used last year.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So I don't know.
I feel that there's a couple teams out there that could benefit from getting a Jordan Howard type running back on their team.
And I don't think he was utilized enough in the passing game, which he could have. Some will just call him a two-down.
They hate him in the passing game. Yeah. They just refuse to throw it to him there.
Some call him just a two-down pounder, but I don't know. I would like to see him with a bit more of an expanded role with another team.
I would too. And they said last year, going into this year's training camps, that he was staying after practice and he was on the jugs machine, catching 100, 200 balls after practice to try to enhance that part of his game. And Matt Nagy was like, yeah, we're going to utilize him in the passing game, and it just never happens.
Nope.
So we'll see what happens there.
Another man who was not utilized in the passing game last year was
Jason Witten. Why was that?
Hey, because he was busy bombing as a commentator. You know, I don't know what game it was I was listening to.
Any of them?
It was the very first one. I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? This guy is terrible. And then they showed, and I'm like, oh, that's Jason Witten. Oh, that sucks because he's really bad. He's awful. Yeah. He is no Tony Romo.
No. So he's coming back, though. I mean, he's unretiring and going back to the Cowboys for his 16th season. Production level, what do you think? You worried? You expecting good things? I wouldn't expect him to be like taking, 40, 50-yard passes to the house or anything like that. But
would they say they were wanting him to play like 25? Was it 25 plays a game? Mm-hmm. Which is only not even a third?
So, I mean, hey, Witten, he's a great route runner. He's got great hands. They'll use him in that short passing game. I think it helps, especially now that they've got Cooper. It gives Dak a safety valve, especially if he's scrambling outside the pocket.
Probably a definite red zone vulture
yeah.
for both Cooper and for Zeke.
We'll see what kind of shape he's in after a year off at his age. We'll see what he can come back, but I wouldn't go out and draft him really high, expecting a lot of stuff. I mean, he could be a touchdown or bust type tight end.
You basically just let your Cowboy homers, grab him.
Oh, they'll be salivating all over that. I think this is a situation where Jason Witten coming back to play for the Cowboys is a better football move than it is a fantasy move.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then Alex Collins, wow, waived. Goodbye. Waived by the Ravens following he got arrested after a car accident.
Oh, I didn't catch that he got waived.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was like at 7 a.m.
Yeah, I don't know everything about it yet, but yeah, they announced that he was arrested, and then a couple hours later came out, and the Ravens on their official Twitter feed said that we have waived Alex Collins.
Yep. See, that part I didn't catch. So the part that I read that the car accident happened like at 7 a.m. So, did you party all night? Did you just start real early?
So, hey, the good news for me, potentially holding on to Kenneth Dixon for
geez. Oh, my God.
For like the third straight year. We'll see if that ship ever sails.
And I believe just days before that, they had already come out and said that Gus Edwards was their man at running back.
They did. So if you don't have Gus Edwards and you're in a dynasty league, could be a guy to keep your eye on to go target.
I wouldn't.
He was very productive in the limited role that he ended up getting towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
I know, but hey, you can't deny it. He played well and he was putting up some good numbers, and he was winning a lot of people he was winning people a lot of games down the stretch.
All right, let's go to more relevant news. The Combine started this week. They came in on Tuesday. Did their interviews and the medicals where they get poked and prodded, and the officially yesterday the Underwear Olympics kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
So the quarterbacks, the O-line, the running backs, O-line, and special teams did some testing today. The big thing is going to be the quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends tomorrow, and then edge, D-line, linebackers on Sunday, cornerbacks and safeties on Monday. An interesting thing, here's some of the Combine records just for giggles. The 40-yard dash we talked about with John Ross at 4.22. Bench press, Stephen Pia with 49.
Wow.
Vertical jump, Chris Conley, 45 inches. The broad jump, Byron Jones, 12.3. And I forgot, when I was looking that stuff up, Jarvis, that was a world
record.
World record. I mean, there's people that train for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
4 years to participate in the Olympics to try to break the record. This is a guy who probably played 4 months of football, maybe took a week or two off in January and then started training more for the combine.
Natural ability, you can't underestimate it.
I mean, that's just incredible with that.
Not saying he didn't work hard to get to where he's at.
Yeah. So, since we're on to this week's edition of the tight ends, let's get into the tight end needy teams, which there's a lot of them, right?
There is
Jarvis?
a lot. There is a lot out there. A couple that come to mind. The Jets. They don't really have. What's his name? Herndon. He still hasn't really come out of a shell and proven himself. So the Jets could be a team that's going to be focusing on tight end help this draft year. Patriots. What are they going to do? I mean, what's Gronk's deal? What's Gronk's story? Behind Gronk, who do they have?
Well, they're going to get rid of Allen.
Yeah.
And besides that, I don't have a clue.
If you get a good, dependable tight end in that system, we know that they're going to produce.
Yes.
So,
well, not necessarily, because you look at Bennett. When Bennett was there, he was nothing. Even when Gronk was out, Allen didn't do anything.
Bennett had some monster weeks, though. I remember that because I had Gronk on my team. And I couldn't start him because of Bennett.
He didn't hardly have any. I mean, he might have had one or two, but I'm going to.
He had a good year because that's why everyone was in Green Bay was so particularly excited, because after the year he had in New England, playing behind Gronk and playing for Gronk when he got hurt, they shipped him off to Green Bay, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, Martellus Bennett. And I had him. I ended up picking him up that offseason. I was like thinking, oh, this could be a good year. And just like any tight end that goes to Green Bay, there's just a big lack of production.
Yeah, he did have 55 receptions for New England that year, which I just don't remember him being that good.
Yeah, and one game I think he had like 3 touchdowns too.
What year is that?
He had 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2018.
700 yards, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he started 12 games. So
I just really did not remember him being
I mean, he was that
good. Productive.
So yeah, I mean, New England, again, we don't know what Gronk's story is yet. It hasn't come out yet. So is he going to come back and play another year? Or is he going to go do keg stands and beer bongs with a bunch of party age, college age party guys? Hey, Denver, my team. We keep getting these tight ends that no big name guys or anything like that. We got Jake Butt, but coming off his second ACL injury, and you get Hireman, he tears his ACL. So Denver could be a team in the running to get some tight end help. Mm-hmm. What about Seattle?
Yeah, always looking to replace the production that they lost out of Jimmy Graham. You know, they had that. Was it Vinette last year?
Ed Dixon.
Mm-hmm. Vinette came out of nowhere, and I don't remember what his injury was. He was lost for the year, if I remember right. You get to the Rams. I'm not so much with the Rams, just because Gerald Everett. I'm a huge Gerald Everett fan. They have too many. They have too many weapons. And Gerald Everett was a high second-round pick a couple of years back. He's a move tight end. They just really haven't used him a lot.
And the reason I put them on my list is because I don't know if it's just they don't have the faith in Everett or not, or if that's just an offense that just doesn't. Like if they had a really solid tight end that they felt strongly about and they believed in, they had a lot of confidence in, would they at that point then utilize him?
Well, it's so much a run-first team, and then they get around to, throwing. But, when you have Woods and Cooks and Gurley, not much is really left. Plus they got Cooper Kupp when he's healthy. Mm-hmm. He's just such an afterthought there. Texans, absolutely. I'm trying to think of their tight end last year who got hurt again.
Ryan Griffin?
I don't think it was. They went through a couple of tight ends.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason we can't think of it is the reason why they're needing some help. Now, we saw the level of production that came out of the tight end position when they had C.J. Fedorowicz.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, and Brock Osweiler, like Fedorowicz, I can't remember what they called him, his nickname. It was like the Mad German or something like that. I don't remember. But man, that guy was he kept going. He was Osweiler's safety blanket. So he just kept getting peppered with targets over and over again. So but they don't have that guy there right now. So Texans could be a team.
The Saints.
Josh Hill, I mean, they came out and said, yeah, he's going to be expected to take on a much bigger workload.
You can blow that smoke
exactly
up my rear end all you want. Josh Hill is never going to be the man in New Orleans, and I'll let everybody else buy into that hype because I'm not buying it.
I'm with you, too, because is this his third year, fourth year?
At least.
And he still hasn't come to. We haven't seen what I think the Saints were expecting to see. And if we haven't seen that so far to this point, oh, wait a sec. He's been in the league since 2013.
Yep. This will be his 7th year.
7th year, and you're telling me now he's ready to step up. Now,
well, you're going to tell me he's going to surpass that 16 receptions he's ever garnered in a single season? No.
Yeah,
I'm not buying that.
Saints are going to target a tight end.
But will they actually utilize a tight end?
Yeah.
Will they use?
Well, they certainly did with Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, they did, and they did with Ben Watson there for a while as well.
And Shockey.
And Shockey earlier.
Yep.
Yeah. Redskins, are they tired of Reed being constantly hurt?
He's so undependable. When he's on the field, well, with the exception of this last year, but when he's on the field, you play him. He's just like Gronk. Like, if he's healthy and he's playing, you put him in your starting lineup, you don't even think twice about it. This year, a different story. He played in several games, but when he was in those games, it was a boom or bust.
Yeah.
So he wasn't putting up the level of consistency that we were used to in years past. So who's there? Vernon Davis. Now, he's probably 34.
No, I think he's like 38 or 39.
And then we got question marks as far as the quarterback position is concerned in Washington. They're really pumping up Colt McCoy as like he's going to be their starting quarterback. Well, you got a guy who doesn't have a ton of experience as a starting quarterback in the NFL. You're going to want that safety blanket there in a tight end. So a slot guy, a tight end, and a running back that can catch the ball in the backfield to give that safety blanket there to those younger, maybe more inexperienced quarterbacks is a big thing for them.
Same way with the Jaguars. They're going to have a new quarterback this year.
They will.
Who's it going to be? The Jaguars. I took my ASJ flyer last year there, and of course he didn't pan out. And just kind of like the Bills as well. Charles Clay, who I really loved until he went to Buffalo and then faded into anonymity there.
He was very productive with Tyrod Taylor, though.
I wouldn't say very productive.
Well, not very, but he had big games.
Not $8-9 million. I think they were paying him.
No. And another team we just talked about, the Packers. Like, I don't know. If they even had the best tight end in the league, would they use him? I don't know.
I don't know.
They didn't utilize Jimmy Graham that much at all. Now, is he at the top of his game? Probably not. I mean, he had a pretty good year, especially the second half of the year with
He's still
Seattle.
a big mismatch.
He is. They just don't use him that much. The Panthers.
Greg Olsen? Is he gonna?
He's wanting to come back, but he's got that. He's gonna re-injure that foot injury. I promise you, he will re-injure that at some point in this year.
Yeah. Lions, are they looking for their next Christian Fourier there, who was, or they gonna look for the Eric Ebram who they let go and then flourished?
Yeah, exactly. So those are just a handful. I mean, obviously with the exception of just a handful of teams where they've got their solidified lockdown tight end, a lot of teams out there, Flip, could benefit from grabbing one of these guys we're about to talk about.
Boy, and the first guy right off the bat, Jarvis, T.J. Hawkinson, tight end out of Iowa, 6'5", 250, 49 receptions, 760 yards, with 6 touchdowns last year. Reigning John Mackey Award winner, given to college football's best tight end. You know, do not be too surprised if he's actually the first skill player off the board.
Woo.
Yeah, precise route runner with soft hands, a total beast at blocking, you know, which could lead him to getting onto the field earlier in his career than most other tight ends.
Absolutely.
You know, really impressed with this athleticism, what he does after the catch. Actually has great speed for a tight end. You know, see him pull away from defenders on plays is, you know, secondary defenders.
Yeah.
Is just impressive. You know, his versatility. You know, you can line him up both inside and outside. You know, a mismatch against linebackers, and has the strength to simply overpower defensive backs before and after the catch. You know, the biggest knock I really read about him was...
Is this even really a knock?
You know, he's not as athletic as Gronk. Come on.
But who is, right?
Yeah. You know, Walter Football had him drafted 21, Fantasy Pros 32, and Draft Tech at 43. What's your overall, you know, thoughts on this guy?
I love it. I do. You hit the nail on the head with that breakdown. This guy's got it. He's a talent. He's a big guy with his breakaway speed. I mean, you can expect those big plays from time to time.
You know, and I think with his ability to do some run blocking and pass blocking, yeah, he's not going to blow you away on either one, but he's going to get on the field early in his career. You know, and I always say this about tight ends their rookie year. Tight end is the number one, besides quarterbacks, toughest position to transfer into.
You rarely ever see a rookie tight end come out and make a significant fantasy impact.
Yeah, you've had Shockey, you had Graham. I'm missing somebody else, but you very rarely ever see a guy come in and throw up 50 plus catches, you know, his rookie year. You know. And this is a guy who in dynasty leagues, yeah, he's going to be heavily targeted. Mm-hmm. You know, we've gone through the wide receiver and running back draft class, and yeah, it's got some gems to it. But, you know, if you're in one of those crazy leagues that actually gives out the 1.5 points for a tight end, bam. Mm-hmm. You know, this would, depending on the situation where he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy, he just seems like a very solid pick. Very solid pick, and anybody that's going to be in need or looking for a tight end help, you can't go wrong with this kid.
Yeah, and I think with the rookie class of all positions not being overly strong, you know, you're not going to see a tight end or a wide receiver go in the top 10 like we've seen in years past. You know, none of the running backs or I don't think many of the mocks even had any of the running backs going in the top 20. You know, I would not be surprised to see him go in the top 20.
I'm with you. I even think that top 15 is a possibility.
I do too. You know, somebody might take a bit of a reach on him, but you watch some, you watch some tape on this kid, and you're like, wow, nice.
Yeah, you can just see the transition.
Yeah,
you know, Irv Smith, tight end out of Alabama. This guy's 6'4", 245. 2018, Irv got 44 passes for 710 yards and 7 touchdowns. In 2017, he caught 23 passes for 414 with 5 touchdowns.
Now, Jarvis, his dad, Irv Smith Sr., when I was playing football over 20 years ago, I probably drafted his dad.
When you're playing fantasy football.
Yes. What did I say?
You said you were just playing football.
I was just playing
football. I thought we were going to go back to your Al Bundy, Pokai.
My 4 touchdown game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. his dad actually had a couple of decent years as a tight end for the Saints, and you know, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, yeah, I really think I probably had his dad on one of my teams, and then or I probably overdrafted him when he was on the slide of his career.
Yeah, you have a tendency to overdraft.
Yeah. It goes along with, you know, winning leagues too, right?
Yes. Stop it. But yeah, Irv Smith Jr., you know, he's a polished route runner with soft hands. You know, speed is going to be, you know, the question. He's going to probably need to be around the 4.6s or so to possibly land in the first round, but he can definitely do it. You know, he's good, not great athlete, but he did have the opportunity to. He did not have the opportunity to catch a lot of contested passes. So that's going to be something to keep your eye on, whether he can get up there and grab those contested passes out of the air. Didn't show great speed, but did show solid quickness. You know, so also a very solid blocker, especially for his size. You know, he does have the speed to win vertically as a flex receiver if you put him in those situations. He's also pretty slippery and elusive after the catch, which is, again, for his size, kind of surprising to see. A lot of people out there, Flip, are comping him to a Martellus Bennett type guy.
Yeah, and, you know, they didn't do the he didn't run his 40 today. He only put up 19 on the bench, which is a little surprising.
That's disappointing
for a guy his size. But you know, his measurables came in about right. You know, 6'2", 242. 9.5-inch hands, which as long as you're over 9-inch hands, you're all good.
Yeah, I mean, this guy. I mean, he's definitely one of the best tight ends in the class. I mean, I think wherever he goes, Flip, he should be able to go in and compete for a day one starting job, like right out the gate.
I think so. You know, with his athleticism and hands, you know, he's gonna make a move. You know, depending on his 40 time and how teams fall in love with him, this is a guy who could slide into the first round.
Yeah, the back in the first round. I think that's absolutely a possibility.
You know, Walter Football had him at 38, and so did the Fantasy Pros. Draft Tech had him at 51. I think that 38 was going to the Jacksonville Jaguars on both them. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I didn't write it down, but with the 51. So, you know, they're picking him quite early in the second round. Good combine. Maybe he slides into the first. But, you know, he's going to have to compete here with Noah Fant, you know, the other Iowa tight end.
You got two Iowa guys coming out the same year.
You know, and one thing I really should say about this class is, you know, every time I was reading something about these guys, over and over I read, all these guys are underclassmen, and they should have stayed for one more year. You know, but that's just kind of the nature of the beast. You know, this guy's 6'5", 241. You know, 39 receptions, 519 yards, and 7 touchdowns. The year before, he had 30 receptions, 494 yards for 16.5 yards per catch average, and 11 TDs in 2017. He's going to need a solid combine to sneak into the first round. Really, compared to, you know, Evan Ingram, very versatile when he's asked to line up. You know, he plays all over the field. You know, this is a guy who was coming out of the backfield, lining up in the slot, lining up as a traditional tight end. You know, he runs like a wide receiver and leaps like a basketball player. Expect him to have a vertical of over 42.
That's insane.
Yeah. Solid hands with catching the ball. But a knock on him is his route running just isn't very precise. You know, he tends to round off his routes. Another mismatch for linebackers and simply too big for defensive backs. Pretty diverse route tree, you know, which when you're lining up all over the field, you're gonna
have to.
Yeah. Deep cross, seam routes, fades, outs, stop pattern, and curls were all present on his film. He has the speed to run away from safeties, which you don't always see that. Yeah. Nightmare in space, and will excel in the vertical passing offense that can also implement him in the middle of the field. Walter Football threw him in at 42, Fantasy Pros at 43, Draft Tech at 38. This is he was not asked to do much on blocking at Iowa because why they had Hawkinson there, so
his skill set matched other opportunities that they could use him in. And I'll tell you this right now, Flip, this is my number one tight end.
Really? You like this guy that much?
Yep, I love him. I was watching him, and I'm watching his film. I just kept thinking, that's Evan Ingram. That's Evan Ingram. That's Evan Ingram. You get him in the right situation, this guy could be a monster. I think he could be a day one impact from the get-go. I love this guy. He is my number one favorite tight end out of the class. I could be completely wrong. My first initial gut instinct, what my eyes tell me, watching him play, I see big things, big play, big potential from this guy. Now, again, we just talked about it a little bit ago. Like, very, very, very rarely do you see a tight end come out in his rookie year and be a significant contributor. So, dynasty players out there, these guys, these tight ends we're talking about, we may get excited about them and think that, big things are coming, and that might be true, but just don't get your hopes up thinking that's going to happen right away. Yeah. But this is the guy. He's number one tight end on my radar, and which was tough to think about because Hawkinson was there for a long time.
Yeah, and for me, just out of these three guys, or out of the whole class, for me, it's definitely Hawkinson. He's more the complete package. I think what's going to hurt Fant's initial value is his inability his almost non-existent college blocking.
Right. Whether it be pass blocking, whether it be run blocking.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to do that in college or in the pros at the next level. You just have to.
And you can blow them away with your combine attributes and all that stuff. But once you get drafted and you go where you need to go, the first amount of time going through preseason and all that stuff and OTAs, that's where the rubber meets the road. And you got to show up and show that you can do pass blocking, run blocking, because otherwise you're not going to get on the field that often.
No, you're only going to get in there on third downs, when you bring in the sub packages.
And if you're only out there on passing plays, then everybody knows why you're out there, and they know what to.
Exactly. You're not in there to. But he is so fantastic in space. I get why you love this kid. I really do.
I love him. And as a fantasy player, you got to get excited about someone that can do that.
Now, you're going to take him in front of Hawkinson.
I would.
Okay. For me, I think Hawkinson is actually not quite a whole head above the rest of these guys.
Now, if Fant goes to Green Bay, I will not take him at all. Just so you know. But, hey, another guy on our list here, Flip, Caleb Wilson out of UCLA. This guy's 6'4", 235. Had 60 catches for 965 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. He finished tied with Irv Smith, one of our other boys, most yards per route run at 2.56 of the NFL combined invited tight ends. So, but he does struggle a little bit in the red zone where he only scored 1 touchdown on 10 targets. So 1 out of 10, they didn't utilize him that much, but full-blown move tight end with limited blocking skills and ability. So there we're starting to see a little bit of knocks on him, but his next QB will need to be an accurate one as he tends to drop passes not thrown directly at his numbers. So his catch radius may be a little bit more limited than the other 3 guys that we just talked about. But he's very solid at sliding into holes in the zone defenses, though. So that's big, especially if you're going to be like a Jason Witten type tight end. Did have a pretty poor play in the Senior Bowl when he stepped a few feet out of bounds and came back in to catch the ball, had it loosely hanging out and fumbled. So.
Oh, it was brutal. I mean, if you look him up, you'll see the play. And he just had no idea where he was on the field. And he is seriously, a yard or 2 out of bounds. And then, he just drifted out there. And then he came back in, caught the ball, and just kind of had it flailing. And out it came.
Mm-hmm. But, he's not particularly fast over distances, but does have nice initial explosiveness from the line and after his initial break. So route running, very crisp, very crisp. Doesn't seem to be great at breaking tackles, little wiggle in open space, and doesn't seem to like lowering his shoulder to run through people. So for me, he doesn't really have the wow factor initially. But again, I've had limited opportunity to watch tape on this guy, but all critics out there in California, they all really like this guy.
Yeah, Walter Football brings him in at 73, which is into the third round. This is definitely a guy to not for a redraft league, not for this year, definitely not. But for a late round dynasty flyer,
yeah,
stash him on your taxi. He's the NFL is looking more and more out of they're getting away from prototypical tight ends and going to these move tight ends that aren't 250, 260, 270. They're looking for basically slower versions of Brandon Marshall. That's what they're really looking at for a lot of these move tight ends. And here's another guy who's more of a prototypical John Stenberger, tight end out of Texas A&M.
Jace.
Oh, Jace. I did say John, didn't I?
You sure did.
That's just a silly name. Who names their kid Jace anyway?
People that don't like the full name Jason.
I guess too lazy to actually just make that his nickname.
Oh goodness.
Never thought about that before. That's kind of funny. 6'4". Well, hopefully he won't be like Jason Morrow, who was a bust for the Jets.
Right.
6'4", 250, 48 receptions for 832 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Wow.
That is 17.3 yards per reception.
Getting it done.
Second of all tight ends. Stenberger did not play in 2017 after transferring to Texas A&M from Kansas. Size and hands combine should tell a lot about his true athleticism. Needs a lot of work on route running. During the 2018 game against South Carolina, he drags a defender at least 20 yards.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Wasn't that just a I mean, the guy just hung there.
Yeah.
Just, he wasn't trying to tackle him. He was just trying to slow him down a little bit.
That was a wow factor for me.
Yes. Size and athleticism are great. Has long speed and run after the catch ability that few have. Can go up and compete for those contested catches. Not afraid of contact. Fearless over the middle. Will focus in and reeling the catch despite the contact. Hard to take down after the catch. The kid could be, this kid could be good at the next level.
I love this kid too.
It was that one play, and I'm like, I watched tape on all these guys, and that is the play. That is probably the number one play that just sticks out in my head. Of this poor guy just along for the ride. He was probably some 210, safety or 200-pound corner, and he was just okay. Let's go.
And to be honest, like given the right situation, I like the Sternberger almost just as much as Hawkinson. That says a lot.
See, I don't.
I know I may be crazy, but all I'm going off of is what I see on film. And when I was watching him play, I could see big play potential out of this kid, and I love the fact that he's just not afraid of contact. Like I said, you get a tight end that doesn't matter. Like he's willing to go across the middle. He's willing to go up there and grab the ball despite knowing that there's a linebacker there about ready to lay him out right as he catches the ball. And that speed and the elusiveness, and I like this kid. I really do. I really do.
And I'm going to go with Walter Football on him. Yeah, that was an outstanding play, but so many of his other plays were okay. I wasn't really wowed by the guy. Walter Football has him coming in at 75.
So another third round guy.
Yeah.
Again, don't don't mistake my appreciation for this kid's playing ability to be like, go get this guy right away because he's going to be an immediate asset for you in your dynasty or redraft leagues. Not at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I like what he brings to the table, and I like his potential.
Mm-hmm. And, I do like some aspects of this kid. I really do. But there's, the other tight ends that we've listed, I like them better.
Yeah, I do too. Again, Fant is probably my favorite out of this group that we're going to talk about. Next guy we're talking about, though, the last one for tonight's episode, Caden Smith out of Stanford, 6'5", 250, 47 receptions, 635 yards, and 2 touchdowns last year. He has easy bursts off the line of scrimmage, and he can shoot out of those breaks in instantly creating throwing windows. That's huge. Mm-hmm. That's huge for those, quick three-step drops. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. He's clearly a physical specimen with the NFL size and athleticism. This guy can take a bit of time to get in and out of sharp breaks because of his drop issues. So
his hip drops. He just doesn't get those hips moved down quick enough to get into those breaks. You don't go anywhere without your hips. So.
Absolutely. Another thing about this guy, though, too, he's not afraid of contact and working over the middle. So, but one thing that's really good with him is he's got a really big catch radius. Mm-hmm. It helps him haul in those inaccurate passes. So you don't have to have the most accurate passer to make him a big part of your offense.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's nice about, really most of this entire draft class is their size. Most of these guys are 6'5",
6'5",
Yeah. And, everybody's ranting and raving about how this is one of the best tight end classes.
We saw that 2 years ago with O.J. Howard coming out, Evan Ingram coming out.
Yeah, I have both those guys in the Dynasty League.
Njoku. Mm-hmm. I think this can be right up there with them.
Yeah, I do too. Now, it's going to depend on, you like your guys. I like mine. Who's going to really pan out? A lot of that's really going to depend on where they land.
Absolutely.
Are they going to land at some of these quarterback-friendly teams that love using tight ends? Or are they going to hit systems that generally don't favor tight ends, like at Jacksonville? But, Jacksonville had Foles, and Foles loved Ertz.
That's the thing.
It's
follow that tight end wherever Foles goes.
Yeah,
I
would.
If he goes down to Miami, look at Mike Gesicki.
Mm-hmm.
Foles likes that tight end safety valve. So the situation and opportunity definitely plays the biggest part of all of this.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into this when we start really doing our previews for drafting later on in the year. But, right now it's just it's tough for us to speculate on saying, okay, Irv Smith is going to be the best because, he just landed in, New Orleans.
Right.
But until we actually see him, and hear the talk and maybe even see how they're being used at OTAs and training camp. I know that doesn't do some people good if they're like us when we draft in July in one of our leagues. But definitely this is going to be a fun rest of the combine to watch. The running backs took the field today.
And we're going to get into more of the quote-unquote meat and potatoes of the combine starting tomorrow.
Yes. A couple of notes on the combine. Might as well just throw that out since we're probably running over time already.
Yep.
Oh, we're not that far over. So, a couple of things. The Oklahoma quarterback, Kyler Murray.
Yep.
He's not a midget after all. He's only 5'10".
Yeah.
Can I say midget here? Yeah, I guess I can. I just did.
Yeah, he's no Tyrion Lannister.
No, he's
For
not.
all you Game of Thrones guys out there.
But he's not nearly as cool.
No,
I even watched his interview today, and it doesn't even compare to
But
Terian.
we talked a little bit about this before the show, and a lot of this is just a bunch of talk and everything, and hype and everything like that. But there's significant news coming out of the combine that a lot of people feel that Kyler Murray will be taken number 1 overall this year.
I have one word from one of my favorite actors of all time, Colonel William T. Potter. No, Sherman T. Potter.
And what did he say?
Horse pucky.
There it is.
I'm not buying into it that one bit. You don't use a first-round pick on a guy and then turn around and grab his replacement a year later.
It was the 10th pick too.
Yeah, with the number 1 overall. I don't believe that at all. Is this Arizona trying to come up with hype? Is this the NFL Network trying to get more viewership? Hey, you make your own decisions on that.
Is this Arizona trying to light a fire under Rosen's butt and get it together?
This is really, part of the start on the total what I call the lying season. Mm-hmm. And the lying season is basically almost the entire off season that starts with the combine. You can't believe a word that comes out of a GM's mouth from now until the beginning of the season. And
it's fun for guys like us that like to talk about this type of stuff year round, where we can speculate and be like, okay, what do we think? What do we, do we take this guy at this word, or what does that mean? Like, what the implications of what he just said?
Yeah. Because all they're doing right now is hyping their own players, hyping players to get other teams to maybe jump on them, so their player slides to them. Mm-hmm. Then they get closer to the draft. They start doing that more. Then after they draft, they're talking about how they love their undrafted rookie free agents, how the guy's going to be a damn Hall of Famer. And it's just crap. You just can't believe any of it.
And these statements come out, they get a lot of press and get a lot of attention. What that attention does is it keeps the fans engaged in a period where there is no football.
Yep. So the NFL, it's year round.
It sure is. For us dynasty guys out there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And, that leads us to next week's podcast, where, next week's podcast is probably going to be longer than this one, because we're going to do some review of the combine, and then we're going to get into free agency, because free agency starts in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, March 13th.
Boy.
One of the favorite days of the year.
We got a show that night, and we got that circled on our calendar of sheer excitement. Because we're gonna have player movement, not only
all throughout the day.
Yeah.
So we're probably not even gonna have an itinerary planned out for that day.
No, it's probably just gonna be it's probably gonna be one of the worst shows, because we're gonna be jumping just all around and everywhere. And
that very well could be, but I will promise you right now, it is the one show that I'm probably looking forward to the most.
Yes. Because not only is this impacting our teams right now, our dynasty teams, but now we start to get a little more sense of how it could impact our favorite teams as well. Mm-hmm. So we get the two-headed monster there. Is some of these moves going to be affecting our dynasty team positively or negatively? Yeah.
Yep.
For you, where's Bell going? Are you going to be happy with it? Is he going to go someplace good, or is he going to go to the Jets?
If he goes to the Jets, I'm going to dump him faster than you could. No. I don't want him to go to the Jets.
Talking about the Jets really quick before we end the show, they actually were talking about a little Telvin Coleman.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I did see where they put the second-round tender on Robbie Anderson, though.
Yes, which we should have actually talked about that, and I forgot to. I expect some team to actually make them an offer.
I do, too.
For that. But the Jets have a ton of cap space, so they can really match about any offer on Robbie Anderson. And I'm a big Robbie Anderson fan.
Yes, you
are.
I
really am.
He helped you out a lot.
Yes. So, all right, before we keep babbling on to get to an hour and a half tonight. Let's end this.
Yes.
Let's end this good show.
Yeah.
You know, where no technical difficulties.
Hey.
Knock on wood. We haven't gone back and listened to it yet.
No.
We might not even be doing a show right now.
I know our microphones could all sound all wobbly and wonky, kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher.
And that's why we couldn't do it on Wednesday, because it was way worse than that.
Nobody would have enjoyed listening to that.
So and there was no major flubs, so it was all good. So, you know, we've told you guys what we're going to do next week, and hopefully everybody enjoyed our show tonight. You know, again, follow us at Twitter at IN StreamPod, and you can always send us an email. You know, intentionalstreaming@gmail.com. You know, shoot us an email. You know, we gladly take, you know, Visa, MasterCard, Discover for our autographs, signed picture autographs. You know, they're not too expensive. Don't worry about it. Not what we charge on eBay. Okay, now we got that ridiculous out of the way, right?
Right.
So be sure to like, subscribe, and
hit that bell.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to another podcast. We thoroughly enjoyed having you, and we look forward to next week's show.
We'll see you after the combine, everybody.
All right. Have a good night.